Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Becky and I make videos about how to live a vegan lifestyle, everything from cooking to grocery shopping to what I eat in a day, lots of different things. Today's video is focusing on tofu. I love eating tofu because there are so many different ways to cook it, and I'm always figuring out new recipes and new ways to eat it. Tofu can take on any flavor that you give it or any texture that you give it. It's just a very versatile food that you can cook in really so many different ways. Today I'm showing you my 3 favorites. I honestly make tofu once to twice a week. These are the 3 most common ways that I will cook it. The first way is probably the easiest, and that is just cooking it in a skillet. For this recipe, I use firm tofu, and I dry it with paper towels to get a lot of the water out. And then I go ahead and I slice it into 12 square pieces. And all I do is I cook it over pretty high heat for maybe 15 minutes, flipping halfway, and I like to season it. The seasonings I like to use are pepper, paprika, cumin, salt, and garlic powder. I like more garlic powder and less paprika, and then Mike gets more paprika, less garlic powder. But I will flip halfway and then add the seasonings again. Once the tofu is finished cooking, I add liquid aminos on top to give it more flavor, and also I like to add some sesame seeds to give it a little bit of a crunch. That is the first way that I like to make tofu. It's so good. Here's the final product. So I had some sweet potato and edamame, and then Mike had some potatoes and some peas and some toast to go with his meal. The second way that I like to make tofu is fried in the air fryer. So these are little tofu nuggets. They are so delicious, and they taste kind of like a little fried treat without all the oil and crap that comes with frying and food. For this recipe, I use firm tofu again, but I like to press it in a tofu press. So I recommend pressing your tofu for at least an hour, but that's just a minimum. The longer you can press it, the more dense the texture is gonna be, and it's more similar to meat if that's what you're used to eating. First, what I do is once the tofu is pressed, I cut it up into little nuggets. I use soy sauce and also breadcrumbs to coat the tofu, and I really like these breadcrumbs from Whole Foods. Breadcrumbs can be difficult to find vegan, but Whole Foods not only has vegan, but they're whole grain, and there's only 2 ingredients in the breadcrumbs, so that's really good. There's not a lot of chemicals or preservatives or anything. Sometimes you'll look at an ingredient list on breadcrumbs and there'll be like 10 ingredients, and it's like, why is all that crap in there when we don't need it? So highly recommend this brand from Whole Foods. This can was like $3.50 or something, and it's gonna last me a long time. I will take groupings of the tofu and I marinate them in soy sauce, which I just like shake them in a container of soy sauce, and then I put the nuggets in the breadcrumbs to coat them. I cook the nuggets in an air fryer. If you don't have an air fryer, that's totally okay. You can bake these. I'd probably bake them at 350 for like 30 minutes or so, flipping them halfway, so that'll work too, but they might not be as crispy as the air fryer. In the air fryer, I cook them on 350, and you only need about 20 minutes, but I do shake them quite a few times while I'm cooking. This is what they'll look like when you're all finished. I made a pasta bowl to go with my tofu nuggets. So I had some miracle noodles with some vegan cheese sauce, which is on another video I'll link below, and some sweet potatoes, broccoli, and then I put the tofu on top. So that was so good. And Mike had mac and cheese at night, and I just put the tofu on top as well. It can really go with a lot of different meals. Highly, highly recommend this recipe if you're looking for like something similar to a chicken nugget but just made from plants. This is the one to make. It's really good. The third way that I make tofu is scrambled tofu. So if you're a fan of scrambled eggs or omelets, this is the one that you'll want to try. So I recommend using soft tofu for this recipe. It's not necessary to get soft tofu, but it's just my favorite texture, and I think it's the most similar to eggs if you're used to eating eggs. For this recipe, I like to wrap the tofu in a paper towel to get as much water out as possible. And then I cook onions in a pan, and I cook without oil, so I just use water to saute all my vegetables, but you're welcome to use oil at this step. And I cook a half of an onion diced up in a pan until it's about translucent. Then I add in the soft tofu, crumbling it over the onion and mix it all up. You'll want to cook that for like 5 to 10 minutes before you add in vegetables. You can add in any vegetables you want in this recipe, but my favorites are mushroom, tomatoes, and then on this day I also added in some green pepper, which was really good. And I cook those vegetables for probably another 5 to 10 minutes. When the tofu is basically finished, I will add in any greens that I want, so just to wilt them down a little. On this day I added in spinach and arugula. So that adds a lot of flavor. And then to season the tofu, I use nutritional yeast, which also adds like a yellow color, so it makes it look a little bit more like eggs. And then I also add in salt, pepper, and paprika. But the most important seasoning that I add in is black salt, which can be hard to find, but I'm telling you, it's the most important ingredient in a tofu scramble. Black salt adds in a sulfur taste, so it makes it taste more like eggs and less like bland tofu. It really gives it a good flavor. So I would not skip the black salt. If you cannot find it in a grocery store, I bought mine on Amazon, and I've also heard that they sell black salt at Asian markets. If you shop at those, maybe you can find it there, but it was really cheap, like $2 or something on Amazon. I love using it to make my tofu scrambles. With my tofu scramble, I had some extra vegetables. Today I had broccoli and also some Dave's Killer Bread toast, which is so good. If you've never tried Dave's Killer Bread, I think all the breads are vegan and they are so tasty. I have never had a bread that I like as much as Dave's Killer Bread, so I would highly recommend you try it. That is my third and final tofu recipe. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it very useful, and you can go ahead and try these recipes yourself. I will post all the ingredients and instructions below. Just as a note, I don't really like to post the amounts of the seasoning that I use because I just do it by eye, and I taste it, and if you need more, you can always add more. So I don't like to post like, oh, you add 1 teaspoon, but it really is just up to your taste buds. That is kind of an experiment that you gotta figure out. But I will post everything in the recipes below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, comment, let me know if you try these recipes. I'd love to hear about it. And that is all for this video. I really hope you liked it. Please hit like and subscribe so in the future you won't miss out on any more videos. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.